Father's Corps was established back in 2013 by my colleague Gary Thompson and myself with the idea of creating a space where men who work in the social and family and community service field can come together and unapologetically and very, very, very intentionally focus on the needs of fathers. The Father's Corps work falls into three very distinct buckets: capacity building, systems change, and research and assessment. And today, what we're doing in our afternoon session is identifying actionable steps you can take to address these policy and programmatic recommendations that we've made.
So in the last probably 8 years, child development and early childhood research as it pertains to fathers is now unpacking the positive aspects of a father's role in their child's life. Dads relate to children in a different way, and there's lots of emerging research that consistently validates that. So our guiding questions today are: how does offering father-friendly parent support and services contribute to fathers understanding their child's development? And our second big question is, what are my actionable steps to change the way we serve as fathers in policy, program, and practice?
What's been going on with fathers and sons? And this formerly was about what's been going on with boys and men of color, but I want to specifically link the issue of fathers and sons. Because what's going on here is an intergenerational transmission between fathers and sons that is not just males don't learn from their absent fathers how to be fathers when they have sons. Because they have absent fathers, developmentally, this contributes to their likelihood of performing poorly in school, dropping out of school, being incarcerated, getting a felony conviction, and being incapable of having the income stability to be able to be a responsible father. The primary factors that drive separation and dissolution of families are whether people are making enough money to maintain that family. And we're going to look at how this cycle has been gender-specifically operating from fathers to sons. Is your fatherhood program differentiated according to the life course position of the parties that you're bringing into that program? Meaning, are we talking about we're talking about brand new father who's 19 years old who has a newborn versus a 27-year-old who already has 2 kids and has a 6-year-old? The issues of fatherhood engagement and support and the things that are happening in their lives are vastly different between those two males. And if you have a one-size-fits-all fatherhood intervention program, you may support one extremely well and fail the other. This is a life course analysis approach to thinking about how where people are means you have to provide different services, different dosages, different intensities for different duration.
There's a lot of hyper-masculine traits that I think he was trying to pass on to me about how to be a man, not necessarily intentionally, but he was modeling that through his actions. At the same time, he was also modeling like how not to be emotional, how not to be affectionate, how not to be present, how to talk to women, at least in the ways that that he thought was normal and so forth. And I think those experiences really helped me to understand how not to be a father.
We have a daughter who lives in China, and she called. She said, "Dad, should I move to China?" Like, yeah. So, in the inside, I was like, no. But on the outside, I was like, yeah, go for it. I mean, it was just the fact that success was the fact that that's an option she had. And the other success was the fact she wasn't afraid to take it. So for me, that was a success that my kids have opportunity and weren't afraid to take those opportunities.
I'm a father of a 13-year-old boy who is Afro-Latino. Now, on my way to over here today, I was driving through Oakland, and I see a car being pulled over by the police officers, and suddenly all I see is guns drawn and brown hands coming out yelling, "Don't shoot," and that fear on the face. And for me internally, I saw my son, that could have been my son.
And so what is the role of government at this moment? And I know that almost all of you either work in government or work for organizations that get government funding. We committed to 3 things. 1, we have to have better data and make better use of data. And I noticed that was on one of your slides, that we have more data about fathers in our prison system than we have about fathers in the home, right? Shameful, shameful. The second thing that we committed ourselves to was better collaboration and coordination. Oakland is blessed with so many passionate people and organizations, and yet sometimes our work overlaps. There are gaps that we're not covering. We really need to have a better concept about how we leverage each other's work, and particularly how that work also gets leveraged with what the public sector is doing, what government is doing. Which leads me to my third, and what I would say is my most important ask of you today. The third thing we recognize is that as much as we love programs only touch so many people that are often lucky enough to get in them. But in government, we touch everyone. Government holds systems, institutions that have tremendous impact on outcomes. So please, as you go into this moment of action, I hope you think about the opportunities for systems change. And what I have to say to you, as one of your governmental leaders, the political will in this community is there. And so all I say to you is please bring us your suggestions, your lived experience, your wisdom, your knowledge about how we can not just create more programs, but actually change the system, the institutions that government holds. Thank you for doing this work.
As an African-American woman, and day after day reading statistics and seeing things, you know, we're failing our boys. We're failing our communities. We're failing each other if we keep business as usual. We're here. We're all different races, genders, identities. My grandmother couldn't do what we're doing. So I know change is possible. And that's what we're asking you to think about as you go out into these action work groups. What can I do when I leave here over the weekend and when I come back to work on Monday that will begin to change the dynamic?
Definitely making connections. I keep hearing the same question that we've been talking about, which is, you know, duplication of services out there or services that are not being provided. We all need to have more of a conversation out there so that we can be providing as many services as possible and, you know, covering as many people as possible.
And without being able to have that direct communication with one another to understand that we're spending a lot of time spinning our wheels doing the same thing that was already invented 3 years ago.
We focus on what does it feel like to be invited. So for inviting someone in, invitation-wise, that's short-term. What can we do short-term to make fathers invited, and long-term to make them feel appreciated when they leave so that they want to come back?
Gary and I and the Father's Corps and Father's Corps members will continue to push our systems partners to make change. Encourage our systems partners to make change. Work with our systems partners to make change. And like I said, you guys are all part of that, and we need you to be part of it.
I thank you so much for helping us make this a success. Our success, obviously, is your success. So again, my humble thank you to all of you for helping us.